Pennsylvania Farm Bureau presents Dairy Farmers of Pennsylvania, meeting the challenges of change.
The dairy industry in Pennsylvania is an extremely important component of Pennsylvania agriculture. As the rest of the country, the dairy industry in Pennsylvania is also facing some extremely important challenges today. They're not only economic challenges, but regulatory challenges and other types of constraints that are facing them, making it very difficult to produce the dairy products that all the consumers enjoy.
Pennsylvania is the fifth largest dairy-producing state in the nation. The industry faces many challenges, ranging from rising costs to unpredictable milk prices. Tony Brubaker, in partnership with his brother Mike and their father, milks 700 cows at their farm in Lancaster County. Fluctuating prices is one area of great concern to all farmers.
Volatility does make it tough, and we're fortunate that we've been established for a number of years now, and have had a chance to build some equity. Volatility makes it even more difficult to get started, and that's going to be a challenge for young farmers to continue to be able to start in the industry. They're going to need help in some way, because volatility can ruin a great business plan.
Pennsylvania Farm Bureau Vice President and dairy farmer Rick Ebert says unexpected increases in feed prices also can negatively affect a farmer's business plan.
This is corn silage. It's one of the main ingredients for a dairy cow ration. It's the whole corn plant chopped up and fermented in either a bunk silo or an upright silo. Feed costs represent close to half of what it costs to produce milk, and with all the increases in corn prices and fuel costs and fertilizer prices, it really takes a toll on the bottom line when milk prices are priced that we can't adjust our milk price to cover what these costs have gone up. So it puts a dairy farmer in a pretty hard squeeze to make up for all of his costs.
Berks County farmer Phoebe Bittler recently testified about price challenges during a hearing before the Pennsylvania Senate and House Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee.
The fluctuations in prices of both what we receive and what we need to pay has been very, very stressful. You can make a budget if you know, when we talk about maybe forward contracting, but at the same time, I said before, dairy farmers are very independent. We don't want to miss those highs, so a lot of us don't forward contract because we'll rather weather the storm and probably come out a little bit of a head. But that may not always be the wisest of choices. We buy everything retail and we sell wholesale. It's hard to figure what I'm really going to have to pay to make this work.
One of the biggest challenges is infrastructure. And I'm not just talking about the local veterinary or a labor force. We also have the infrastructure that's actually on the farm. Facilities need to be modernized. And in a highly volatile business, not a lot of banks are willing to lend the money necessary to build, for instance, $1 million milking parlor. So we're going to be looking at availability of money. We're going to be looking at ways to level the price of milk so a farmer can count on what his milk check is going to be.
It would be an understatement to say that 2006 was a difficult year for dairy farmers, with historically low milk prices and increased feed, fuel, and transportation costs. For many, it was a devastating year.
We've seen a lot of farms go out of business. They've tapped into their savings and they couldn't pull out of it. You need to look at your overall business plan and maybe make some changes. Maybe when crop time comes, maybe you're not going to plant the most expensive seed corn or alfalfa. You're going to feed some alternative feeds. You might get some wet brewer's grain in or distiller's grain to try to balance the ration to bring it down. Many spouses, due to the low price that we had last year, took a job off the farm to help cover family expenses and also to provide health care for the family.
Lancaster County dairyman Jeff Ballmer says 2006 tested the notion held by some that dairy farming is more of a lifestyle than a business.
Sometimes I don't always like the way that term is, because there's certainly the need to make it work financially as well. 2006 certainly wasn't an easy time of that, with prices down and other costs coming up. Had to certainly strap down and make some both personal and business sacrifices, certainly not making any extra capital expenditures, keeping up what we had, and not going out and buying a whole bunch of stuff for the house either. But with that, this year certainly has started to come around, and that's all pretty much caught up.
Milk prices have rebounded in 2007, bringing some relief to farmers who exhausted their savings or went further into debt. With the increased demand for milk, consumers will pay slightly higher prices for dairy products.
The consumer is still getting one of the best buys in the world for their food, and dairy is no exception. The cost of dairy is very cheap as part of somebody's total disposable income.
Labor plays a major role on the profitability of a dairy farm. If farmers choose to expand, they usually have to hire additional help. So they must decide if the additional income generated from expansion will cover labor and other costs and still increase profits. When the Brubakers formed a partnership more than a decade ago, they increased the number of cows and expanded the workforce.
We have 12 full-time guys right now that are terrific, and they are the key to success in an operation like this. We rely very heavily on them, and but it allows all of us to have a good quality of life as well. We are all able to work hard and make a decent living, but also have time to spend doing other things in life as well.
Hiring immigrant workers was also part of the formula for success for the Lancaster County family operation.
For us, it's critical. We went through a period of time when it's not about money, it's about finding quality people, and we could not find people to do the jobs that needed done. And it was putting an immense strain on our management team and on us. When we started to hire the immigrant labor, it was and still is a quality labor force. It's not an inexpensive labor force, but it's a reliable, quality labor force that we can utilize and be an integral part of our business to grow it and do the quality job that we want to do here.
On smaller farms like Excelsior Farm in Lehigh County, Andrea Semmel Lazarus tends to 225 registered Holstein and Brown Swiss cows and 200 acres of corn and alfalfa.
I'm in charge of milking every day, morning and evening. I do the majority of the mowing of the hay, chopping of the hay. The only field work that I don't do, I don't plant corn. Everything else I do. We do have one full-time employee here, and also my dad now is here back at the farm. He also helps me milk. So I have the opportunity to work with my dad on a day-to-day basis, which is kind of neat.
Jeff Ballmer, along with his wife Jesslyn, operate a smaller farm milking 50 cows. The Ballmers say that size is just right for their family because they don't plan to expand or hire help anytime soon.
At the current time, I have no plans of going too much larger. With 50 cows, maybe 60 to 70, you can still pretty much handle that perhaps as a family. Not really looking to get real large and have a whole set of employees and all that. I like to be able to focus on the animals I have, and instead of growing from within, selling replacement stock and heifers or animals and using that as the extra income instead of just getting larger, trying to get better with what we have.
One family operation in York County decided that they didn't want to continue with traditional dairy farming and dealing with a larger labor force. So they changed to a robotic milking facility in 2001, becoming one of the first robotic dairies in the country.
Before, we had 200 cows that we milked twice a day in a tie stall barn. We had 6.5 employees to milk that twice a day. We also had employees that took care of the yard work and everything else. Right now, as I said, we're milking 130 with an average of 3 times a day, and I only have 2 employees, period. They take care of all the yard work, they take care of the feeding, they monitor the milking.
Hope Acres Farm President Aaron Heindel explains how the robots milk the cows.
It's actually using the laser to guide itself in to find the 4 teats. Once it finds 1 teat, it remembers the location in relation to that one last time, so it's pretty quick in hooking the rest up. Now if the cow moves or anything else, the robot just has to simply readjust a little bit and locate the other teat. But that uses lasers to guide that in.
Heindel says the computer and the robotic equipment provides him with valuable information that no longer has to be collected by a worker.
Yeah, the computer allows us to have instant access to all kinds of information about that specific cow or the whole group of cows if I want to. So I can go in here and find the cow name, her number. Also, it tells us how much food that we're allowing her to have during her cycle in here. It shows us how much milk she's given as a whole, and then also breaks out each quarter, because obviously each quarter is separate from the whole bag, so we could have one quarter that gives more than another. It'll also show us on here if a quarter is dried off. If it's a dead quarter, it'll tell us that right here on the screen.
The system also includes quality control measures.
It's analyzing the milk as it's flowing from each udder or each teat. So if there's a high somatic cell or bacteria count, it'll automatically dump that milk down the drain and let us know, so we know which cow, which udder, or which teat has the problem we can take care of. But it milks that cow every time, and it just, like I said, dumps it down the drain. So there's no need for human detection. It automatically does that.
The York County farmer says robotic milkers are a realistic option for smaller farms.
It's not designed for huge farms, but for the family farm where they have 60 to 100 cows, each robot can adequately milk around 60 cows. So when you take that into consideration and the lifestyle it gives to that family, I know farmers who don't get on vacation. It's been years to be able to leave their cows. Cows have to be milked every day, so it's a lot easier to train somebody, I think, to run a computer.
Heindel says a robot may be more affordable than you think.
Long term, the cost really is not that bad, but initially it's like anything, buying that brand new tractor. It definitely is something you got to think about. Robots you can get for under $200,000, like any car. If you get all the bells and whistles, you're going to pay a little more. But they say every 10 years, that for 10 years that robot will work adequately. And so if you break that out over those 10 years, it really is going to be less than a full-time employee.
The Heindels were able to diversify with the extra time they had not doing the daily milking. It allowed them to pursue other avenues to generate additional income, as they opened a country store and a restaurant. They now produce and process their own milk, ice cream, and cheese. Tours of the robotic milking facility help educate the public and provides them additional revenue.
With the tours, we have motor coaches come in. This year we have over 140 motor coaches that will be coming here to the little town of Brogue. Never would have come before. And one of the things they like to do is eat. So they have a tour, they come in and have a meal, and it puts close to $1,000 in our pocket from one bus tour coming in here and doing a site visit.
Farm Bureau works to support programs to improve the economic well-being of Pennsylvania dairy farmers, including state agriculture department programs like the Dairy Task Force and the Center for Dairy Excellence.
When you look at the dairy production here in Pennsylvania, we've increased 21 of the last 23 months, and that's substantial. That is certainly above the national average, and our percentage of growth was substantially more than the national average. So we basically took a dairy economy in a state that was on the decline and turned it around and have seen the kind of growth that I think it's beyond what our Dairy Task Force and our center had envisioned in being able to accomplish.
Secretary Wolf talks about a targeted program that was designed to revitalize an area of the state where milk production had decreased in recent years.
We tried a program that was called the XP program up in Tioga and Bradford counties. And that program paid an incentive for dairy farmers that were willing to increase their production over the previous year. We partnered with 3 cooperatives up there, And we spent about $375,000 on that program between the Department of Agriculture and the cooperatives. That actually returned about $6 million in increased revenue for those two counties.
Another new project includes a dairy incubator program, which makes it financially feasible for a young farmer to get started in the industry by providing him low-rent use of a barn, a home, and land, along with other opportunities.
It makes the numbers look like they'll work. In order to get somebody to help you, because you need loans and that to get started, and the numbers have to cash flow on paper in order for anybody to want to talk to you. So they helped us get those numbers to where they would work and able to get financing and get cattle purchased of our own and the small amount of equipment we needed to get up and running.
Andrew Laudenclaw says if he and his wife Mary Rose had not been chosen for the program, they would have given up trying to make it in the dairy industry.
This was our last straw. If we didn't get it, we were going to start a different career path. We had just tried so long, and we were, in all honesty, this was the last straw for us, and we're thankful now we got it, because we're finally on our own, and we've been on it 6 months and going strong.
The young farmer adds that they got off to a slow start, but things have turned around and he's looking forward to being successful, buying his own farm in a few years, and turning the facility over to another young family looking to make it in the dairy industry.
We've been here almost 6 months now. I guess the first week we were averaging about 65 pounds a cow, and we've steadily grown since then. We're now at 81 pounds this morning on DHIA, and we're getting some cows bred. We had a little bit of a battle with some feed, with some corn solids. We got that straightened out. The cows really took off. Everything has gotten more routine. We're finally getting, our days have went from 18 hours a day to about 14.
Pennsylvania also has an independent agency known as the Milk Marketing Board that establishes minimum prices to be paid to Pennsylvania producers, milk dealers, and retailers. The Milk Marketing Board mandates that producers of fluid milk processed and sold in Pennsylvania receive a premium that is above the price set by the federal government.
Without that over-order premium, many farmers, small farmers, could not still stay in business. So I think it has a very beneficial effect to the farmers of Pennsylvania.
The over-order premium has provided Pennsylvania dairy farmers with $430 million since 1988. Even with a premium, Pennsylvania milk is still competitively priced.
And if you look at the price of milk in stores in Pennsylvania compared to surrounding states, we're very comparable. Sometimes lower than in other states, and sometimes a little higher, but so we keep the price of milk reasonable in Pennsylvania.
Another program that could benefit dairy farmers is the 2007 Farm Bill.
Right now the Farm Bill is being discussed. It's up for renewal, and Pennsylvania Farm Bureau, and especially the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau Dairy Committee, has looked at how to better price milk for dairy farmers back at home. Most of our pricing that's been done nationally hasn't reflected our cost of production, and there's a widening gap between our cost of production and what is being paid by the consumer in the stores.
Pennsylvania Farm Bureau President Carl Schaefer says the health of the dairy industry is not only important to farmers, it's important to all Americans.
If the dairy industry economically is not sustainable, and we have to, in this country, ever depend on foreign food, as we are depending on foreign oil right now, I think we're doomed. So it's to the interest of everyone in the United States that we have a very successful dairy industry and a very successful batch of new dairy farmers that are going to take over in the future.
Other concerns that could potentially hinder the future of dairy farmers is how outside influences impact their operations and management decisions. For example, currently there is pressure to only accept RBST-free milk from producers, even though a large number of dairy farmers use the practice. Many farmers have been given an ultimatum: go RBST-free or find somewhere else to send your milk.
It can help your bottom line naturally. It causes about an 11 to 12 pound increase per cow per day in milk production when used according to the label. And naturally there's not a lot of cost other than the cost of the drug, maybe a little bit of feed cost. You can easily double your money on your investment.
Another problem area is in the marketing of the milk, where a false impression is created that RBST-free milk is somehow better.
There's absolutely no difference in the composition of the milk between cows that do receive the RBST and cows that do not. In fact, it's been proven numerous times in laboratories, and a number of watchdog groups have funded different things trying to find some kind of difference in the composition, and they've taken it to universities or whatever and had it milk tested. They can find absolutely no difference in the composition or makeup of the milk between BST and non-RBST, or RBST and non-RBST supplemented cows.
Many dairy farmers not impacted by the RBST controversy, and even non-dairy farmers, are concerned about being forced to give up accepted, tested, and government-approved practices on the farm. They wonder what other approved methods of farming will be targeted next.
One thing can lead to another. When you're using a safe product that's proven safe, I don't think no matter what it is, whether it's wet brewer's grain, it's RBST, it's a TMR mixer, whatever you're using, if it's a proved practice and it's safe, you shouldn't be able to dictate whether the farmer should or can't use it. It should be his choice.
The expansion of regulation on farms also has changed the way farmers do business because they have to spend extra time and money to meet those requirements.
Approving nutrient management plans, water quality permits, they all take a significant amount of time and money, but the way we look at it is they're all necessary steps. We're bullish on the future in agriculture. We're planning to be here a while. We enjoy it. So we want to take the necessary steps to ensure our longevity and to ensure the water quality.
We've done many things here at the farm. We've worked with the Conservation District. We've done contour strips for long time ago already. We've done stream bank. We've done fencing work. And it is a commitment, a financial commitment, even though they do offset it. It is still a big burden on the farmer, and we need to continue to have financial help for farmers to do environmental practices that are beneficial not only to the farm but to our community.
The Brubakers, who farm 300 acres, say the farm has recently begun construction of a methane digester to add value to the farm.
Our goal is to generate electricity with the gas, run a generator, and then we should be able to provide enough electric to supply our whole operation and hopefully sell a little bit back to the power company. So that's our goal. And the other side benefit is it takes 90% of the odor out of our manure.
Despite the many challenges facing dairy farmers, there is optimism for the future.
There's 100 million people that live within 1 day's travel of the state of Pennsylvania. It seems to me that with that many people living within an 8-hour drive of the state of Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania's excellent soils and excellent climate for the production of milk, the future of dairying in Pennsylvania should be very bright.
We'll continue to work hard and to keep this business going and growing as much as we can. But you always look at the future and make changes accordingly, whether you get larger or whether you get smaller. It doesn't mean that you're failing if you would downsize for whatever reason, if you don't have the labor.
We have strong markets. We're close to the markets. We're close to a lot of people that are consuming the products. We have quality people to hire, and it's a good place for people to live and have a quality of life. We have good land that we can grow good crops, and we do have the ability to make milk competitively in Pennsylvania.
Farmers know there will always be challenges in the dairy industry, but it's something they will continue to deal with as long as they can provide a quality product to the public while making sufficient income to support their families.
In this time of transition and challenges of change, we also remain very confident for a bright future on the outcome of our dairy industry.
This has been a production of the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau. For more information about issues affecting Pennsylvania agriculture, visit our website at www.pfb.com.